Hello and welcome back to my gaming channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at Uplink Master Hacker. So I do have a save on here. This other save is just a test really. But in the interest of demonstration and just showing what the game's about and stuff, probably be better to start with a fresh save. Okay, waiting connection. Come on. You know this is bull too, like, the game's gotta be loaded. Okay, yeah, that was totally necessary, right? Yeah, I don't need to see about us. Just don't read the paperwork, just sign it, right? Let's go with something kinda cool. Yeah, doesn't really matter. Doesn't really matter what your password is. Okay. So that little message there just said that I have to pay $300 a month to be a part of this little club organization thing. Okay, now we're in. No, I'm not going to do the tutorial because I know how it works. I'm going to just explain what I'm doing as I go along. And also the very first mission is kind of like a tutorial anyway, so that message just tells you, hey, before you do any real work, you need to do this test mission. And before you do any mission, it gives you this cool little info panel. So here, gain access to Uplink test machine, that's my target. My target file that I need to download is the test data. Remove any traces of hack, that's important too, and then return the data. Just send it to the customer, which in this case is the organization. So the target always shows up as the green blip, but first we need to prepare for the hack. We don't have any equipment yet, which at first will come in the form of software. So we need to go to, this is the organization's, where is it? Gateway, that's me, that's my computer. Here we go, internal services, that's what we want. You can just click on this, it'll automatically enter your credentials for you. We're gonna go to software upgrades. So this is your main control over your computer. Right now we only have a couple options. Actually the tutorial we don't need, so we can go here to see all the software that's currently on the computer. It's memory in general, so it's not just software. Files that you download and stuff will show up here as well, but we're going to go ahead and delete that tutorial. We don't need to run that ever, it's just taking up space. So we will need a password breaker. The first thing was to break in. Now the next version and previous version buttons here are very important, but with the password breaker it only has a version 1, so we're going to go ahead and buy that. Trace Tracker has a version 2. It looks like it goes up to version 4. As of now I'm going to stick with the base version 1 because it's not all that important early on. And then Log Deleter, it said to cover up your tracks, so you need that. And version 2 is actually definitely worth paying twice the price for. Okay, then we're going to leave here. This is going to be in a very important place we're going to be visiting often. And then we have one more bit of preparation we need to do. We're going to go to this overall internet connection place thing, and we're going to just add a bunch of IP addresses to our directory. Just grab a handful of them. So now the directory is going to expand here, but also the number of blips on the map representing where those IP addresses actually are. So next what we want to do, that's our target again, right? But before, we don't want to go straight there. What we actually want to do is bounce this signal around to as many of these blips as possible, which is why we added more of them on that last step there. Did I get that one? I think I got that one. So what this is going to do is it's going to make the trace take longer. So we'll have more time to break in and do what we need to do. So first off, we need to start up that trace tracker, and it's going to show up here. Right now, 100% of our CPU usage is allocated to it because it's the only program running. It also shows up down here. This is how, this is like the monitor for the trace tracker. That's going to show us the progress of the trace, but the trace is not actually going to begin until we start breaking the password, which we're going to do in a second. Back up to the CPU usage, I'm actually going to change the password breaker allocation to full. Once it's in the dark blue, it's actually full, so I'm going to back it off a little bit so the trace tracker gets a little bit more power. Then I'm going to select my password breaker again and go ahead and start breaking that code. Now, since I allocated more CPU usage to the breaker is acting much faster than it normally would. So we're going to proceed, access file server, test data, that's what we needed, so we're going to pull up our copier, pull up our memory bank again, so when this gets done copying, again, you can change the CPU allocation on this program as well. So once this gets done copying, we're just going to drop it in here somewhere. Wow, that's a huge file. Okay, then we're going to back out and view logs. This is where we're going to cover up our tracks. So we got that log deleter, right? Log deleter. And this is our IP address. Okay, so that's the only thing that's actually logged on. Wow, I actually should have gotten the next level trace tracker. But I think if I did that, I wouldn't have had enough money to get the log deleter, or at least not the really good one, because it only shows that it's in progress, which doesn't really tell me much. I pretty much already know that because I'm hacking into their stuff. Level 2 actually shows you the percentage of how complete it is. So now that I've got that file, I'm going to reply to this message, attach a file, that test data that we just downloaded, send it back to them, and we should get a response. Funds transferred, which in this case is $0, as this was just like a orientation type deal. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that to get that off of the trade in there, and then it upgrades your ranking. It lets you know that you've upgraded your ranking. Here's the ranking screen. Money screen, of course, very fun. I pretty much spent all my money, but that's okay, because now, when we go back to internal services, we can go to the mission list, and all of these would have been grayed out before, meaning that we didn't have a high enough rank to accept them, but now we have like a $2,000 quest. Most of these are just under 2,000. We're going to start making some serious money soon. Then we'll be able to buy some really cool programs. We'll be able to buy some more processors, memory capacity, actually security to protect your gateway, which is what they call your computer, like in the physical world. So cops and stuff will come and try to dismantle your computer, and if you have some security systems set up, you can destroy it before they get it, which is actually worth it because you don't want to get caught by the cops in this game. Gateway upgrades too. You can actually buy better computers that have, you know, better capacity for upgrades. So that's about it. That's really all I wanted to cover in the first one. These missions do get more interesting. I'll be covering those the next episode. Stay tuned.